Hey there, my name is Sarah Lightfoot and I work with a nonprofit organization in the state of Washington called Enspire Arts, and we provide a variety of expressive arts services for youth in schools in Clark County. And last week I was super excited for the after school program that we hold on a Friday at a local school. I had some great content about what to do when emotions are running big, and I thought, oh, this is really relevant with everything that's happening right now around our world, our communities with coronavirus, and well, then we had the news that schools were going to be closed and kids aren't back in school until the end of April. So that's a huge change. I started reflecting. I'm like, maybe there are a lot of families out there that might benefit from some of the things that we were going to talk about in that class. And, in the class, we always are weaving together a variety of arts activities. So some drama games, some great music to listen to, sing. We'll use literature. And then we'll always have a visual art piece to kind of integrate all the concepts we've been exploring through those other art forms. And so today I just want to share with you the visual art piece that we were going to do last week. It's called the Juxtaposition of Emotion. And, it's where we start exploring how when we're in a big experience, there are often positive and negative emotions running at the same time. And that can be really confusing, like we have the news now that we're not having school till the end of April, and as a parent, part of me is going, oh my gosh, that's great. I'm going to have all this time with my kids. That's super. And at the same time, as a parent, I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm going to have all that time with my kids, total mix of feelings, like what are we going to do? How are we going to keep everybody happy? And, and activities are more limited than normal when we're just on a vacation. And so there's a lot that we're all trying to deal with. And teachers are thinking, oh, what about my students? Those that are just making great progress in reading, are they going to still get the support at home? And how are we going to get kids graduated? And how are we going to keep kids fed that are relying on the food programs at the school? So there's a lot of big questions. And I think emotions are running high for a lot of people. And for children, that can be really difficult to navigate when they see the news, which isn't always helpful. And they see people panic buying. And also it is just scary to think that there's something out there that could kill someone that someone you care about. Illness is scary. And when it's something new and something we don't understand, it takes time to process. And so anyways, so the juxtaposition of emotion. So what we do in this activity is we are going to say, okay, you're at home for 6 weeks. What's something about that doesn't feel so good? And kind of get the children to reflect on a negative aspect of that being at home. And then we say, okay, now we want you to come up with a symbol that you can draw that just reflects that emotion. They don't have to tell you what it is, but they can just, they come up with something to draw that is reflecting that negative emotion they're experiencing. And so some samples that I have are, squares, big squares with little squares. Most of these things with the negative emotion probably would have harsher edges, something that feels maybe a little bit stronger. Straight lines down the page, diagonal lines. Maybe crisscross X patterns, zigzags, could be triangles, basic grid pattern. There's no limit. No one's limited to these ideas. Just see what happens. Imagination is a great world, lots of ideas. So whatever they choose, that's great. What they choose to represent that negative feeling is just what they need at that moment. And then we say, okay, what's something really positive? What's something you're looking forward to? What's a good feeling about being at home for 6 weeks? So then we'll have students, maybe draw bubble patterns. Sometimes they turn into smiley faces or sunshines. You can get some wavy lines, swirls, hearts, curvy lines. They could just, slightly curved. Lots of little tiny circles, vine-like patterns, scroll patterns. Again, anything that just maybe has a little bit more movement, feels a little bit more fluid, that tends to go with something that feels a little bit positive. And then we say to the students that now it's time to put both of those feelings on one page. So from one side of your page, you're going to start with what your negative emotion is. So here I started with squares on this side. From over on this side, I started with my positive emotion, which was a scrolling pattern. And the only requirement is that they meet somewhere on the page and overlap. Because this is what's happening when we're in an experience, we have positive and negative at the same time. They're going to overlap somewhere, and that's what we're trying to get to show in the paper. Okay, you might find that the negative is creeping way over here. You might find the positive is way over to the other side. So once you've got this point, to this point, you can choose what you want to do for color. You could do painting, you could do colored pencils, crayons, oil pastels, markers, or any mix of those mediums, really, whatever you have at home, and whatever the kids want to experiment with. And I also would say this is not a kid-only activity. I find it very beneficial. I love doing this activity, and I think that we can all benefit from getting our negative emotions out and balancing with the positive. So, just do it right alongside your children. So for color, all I did was green squares. I did some purple scrolls. It's a little hard to see, but I'm shaded with yellow and some orange, and then just mixed it up on the page. And so again, this is not a great work of art. It's just an opportunity to get emotion out, put some color on a page. And it's also a great opportunity to reflect on, actually, when you go from just squares and scrolls, add a little bit of color, the positive and negative can come together in a great way that help us see that it's not all so bad. And hopefully in time, the positive will outweigh the negative. But ultimately, we always need to be able to internalize, get rid of those negative emotions. And you might find it prompts some good discussion in your families. Just like, hey, what were you representing with that box? What was your negative emotion? What's your positive emotion? What are you feeling really good about right now? How can I help you with this negative one? Kids, they may or may not actually know, but just the opportunity to say, hey, draw something that represents a negative emotion about being stuck at home for 6 weeks and what you feel good about. It's a great opportunity just for them to process internally. And I find the process really relaxing. So you could use this, many times throughout the upcoming weeks. So it's just one little tool that you can try. We hope that it provides a little bit of benefit, maybe some insight. And we hope it brings you closer to your children. And just know that, society will get through it. We have a lot of strengths that we all can draw on. And when we come together as family and community, there's a great strength in that. So we're wishing you all well. And, we'll be back soon. Bye.